we today? What are we covering? What's the episode? What's the show? Who wrote it? Who directed it?
We are covering What Are Little Girls Made Of? And it was directed by James Goldstone and written by Robert Bloch.
Robert Bloch, tell us about Robert Bloch.
Robert Bloch wrote Psycho, and he's a horror writer. And that was big power for them to get that as him as a writer, because his name across the screen. Well,
big get.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think they paid him more for this episode than another person, or no?
No. They're standard rates, and so it's like $655 at the time for writing the first. I can't say first draft. I'm not sure how the words work, and then when they complete that and they give authorization to do something else, then to write the teleplay, I think they get $695, and then the final draft, but not the one that goes and is the director's script, but something in between. I didn't quite understand. They get it like $1,035. That was back then, but that's the difficult one to get, because NBC has to approve, and we got some things in there that says, well, there's going to be some embraces and kissing. Well, it's got to meet broadcast standards and all that. Can you imagine that? I mean, they got to fight the censors all the way. Everything is checked in every script, scene by scene.
So which the final draft is different than backdraft, which would have been a different movie, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. No, you'd have to reach into the thing by the window and come out in 1966 to get the gun. Yeah, I'm not sure. That wasn't the same movie.
So then, so they got 1,000 something. Now, was that a shared amount? Like, let's say Gene Roddenberry put his name on it too. It's not shared. Not a shared amount.
I don't think so. I'm sure there are somewhere they go to arbitration all the time, and then maybe something gets split up. Screenwriters Guild has the final word kind of stuff. It's a complicated business. I don't know anything about it. I just read a few things in the books and I go, oh my God, it's an industry. It's just, it's a machine. It's not everything that we see on the backside, right? The entertainment.
Right. So I wonder what the rate is today. That's a pretty good rate back then. I mean, that's 66, right? 1966.
Exactly. We could do the consumer price index and find out, oh my God. Oh, like that episode we were talking about last week, $195,000 then. And remember when Next Generation came out, everybody was talking like about $1 million an episode kind of a thing. And it was like, whoa.
For writing it?
Huh?
No. You're talking about the production cost.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right. So 200,000 back then was like unheard of, and $1 million, then back in 1987, probably unheard of.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a little, all of these kind of had a little bit of a sexual thing to them, right? Starting with the salt sucker, little sexual stuff there, all the way up until this one, where Bud's Women, of course, the one we just covered. Not so much, I guess, the Enemy Within. Okay. So anyway, a little bit of sexual kind of tension, right? We got Christine and her ex-fiancé.
Perhaps. Yeah, let's call it a rivalry. What do you call that? Jealousy.
For what? Jealousy of what? Oh, you mean with the girl? I'm talking before she goes down to the planet.
Between the three, that kind of thing.
You mean the girl, right? You're talking about
right, Christine, the android, and Corby, Dr. Corby. There's some tension there. There's some story. There's some angle of being pissed off or something.
So what was the reason that they were going down to this planet to see Corby?
Well, so this was originally written for a character called, I think, Margot or something like that, the wife of, and then it slowly evolved until they finally, what's her name, Majel Barrett, dyed her hair, went in, walked down the hall, and tricked Gene Roddenberry. He walked by, said hello, and oh my gosh, it's you, Majel. See, if I can fool you, I could fool NBC or the network, so that she could get hired in. So they changed that and wrote the Christine Chapel. Is that her?
This wasn't the first episode she was in, was it?
Huh?
Was this the first episode that Christine Chapel was in? It wasn't, right?
I don't know. Here, we're talking the 10th. Let's see, what does it say? 10th aired. I'm looking up here.
Seventh.
Number overall 7. Production code. Why does it say 10? All right. Okay. So they got her in there.
Okay.
And she, Majel Barrett says about her character that she always thought it was mamby-pamby. No, she says namby-pamby. Yeah. Because she's fawning over Spock in one episode, right?
Yeah.
And then in this in this episode, she's pining for Corby, right? They used to be an item, or weren't they like engaged? And then I don't understand.
But was she in this one? I don't remember if she was in one before this or not. I can't really legitimately remember her character until this. This is a very major role for her, though.
Yeah, she was in the cage, and then they made
but the cage we haven't covered because that was the
hasn't happened yet. Well,
hasn't happened. We're not there. Okay.
The menagerie hasn't happened yet. The cage has. So explain to me about this deal. I've always wondered. So she's engaged to the guy, gave up a career in biosciences or something like that.
Right, something like that. Yeah.
So why didn't she go with Corby, or why weren't? Oh, he wanted to go explore. She didn't want to do that, so she. But she did. Oh, because he took off. She said, "Screw it. I'm kind of pissed off, or I'm not happy. I'll leave the field of bio whatever, and then just join for less pay and get on the Enterprise and be a nurse."
Well, she saw Spock and she said, "Hey, man, that's where I'm going." I have no idea what her motivation was. That's a good point, though.
Because this episode is established. Now, I didn't kind of get that until I read about it. Established is that she's going to stay on the Enterprise. This was like, okay, she left her field. She goes and joins the Enterprise for a little bit. And then she says, no, this is my right decision to stay here. Never kind of got that cemented the fact that she was going to stay, or that she was intending, or that it was a temporary kind of decision on her part originally.
Well, I don't want to jump ahead, so I'm not going to, but I have a theory on why she stayed on the Enterprise, which we'll get to in this episode.
Sounds good.
You know what I'm getting at, right? You know what I'm getting at.
Cut off our episode and let's go all the way to that point.
And then we'll get to, it has to do, just remember the hand, okay?
The hand. Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I was like, if I look at this like a lot of black comedians, well, first of all, they're there, right? They get beamed down to the planet. They're a little uncomfortable, which I'm like, why don't they just say, let's get the hell out of here. Let's go back to the Enterprise. There's something wrong here, right? They're not getting met by anyone. There's these really weird cavernous place that they're at. And they don't say, hey, let's go back. They go, well, let's beam down a couple of security red shirts that, they're dead. As soon as they hit the planet surface, they're gone. So,
but I thought it was good that Kirk, I don't think I would have caught that Kirk noticed that something was funny. I mean, he said, all right, let's go ahead and let's see if we can meet him. Maybe he's just, late and stuff. But he went ahead, I think, with the correct amount of acting to say, I think we should get a couple of guys. It could have been overdone and said, hey, let's beam down, not the whole task force, but it could have been, it just seemed to flow naturally out of him saying, hey, this is not right. Kind of feels funny. Let me go get a couple of guys though. It just seemed like
this episode reminded me of a lot, and I know that these black comedians weren't around in the 60s, but they are around now. And a lot of them say, a lot of white actors keep going when the danger is obviously there. Like, don't walk into that room. And a lot of black comedians say, I would have got the hell out of there. That's what I'm kind of thinking on this episode. If things kind of smelled fishy, and then all of a sudden I'm losing 2 of my guys, well, one of them for sure. And I don't know why Lurch was lurching around. I know that they try to explain it, but he didn't really probably need to kill him off, right?
He was protecting. I mean, explained it.
I keep calling him Lurch because he was Lurch, but he wasn't really, not at first.
He was what?
Not at first he wasn't protecting.
Yes. I believe that they explained that later when they get together, and then he explains about the two guys dying. He was there. He was following my general orders of protecting. I didn't tell him to kill, but he was on a mission to protect. I think that.
You think that the killing was his only way to? He's a big fella.
Yeah.
He was a big fella. You think that was his only way to protect, was to kill those two guys?
Yeah, and I wouldn't doubt that Corby had something to do with it and urged him.
I get that. That I could buy, that he's not being completely truthful.
So
Kirby.
You can't say, I don't know why he was wandering around there. No, come on. He was wandering around there to protect. And whether that was from original orders 2 years ago or now a little extra going, I get rid of the guys.
Yeah. I would imagine that.
But I kind of agree with you that maybe if something's fishy, they should have just stayed there and waited a little longer and called some guys down and just hung out there. Why go as a kid?
I would definitely consulted with Spock, and said, hey, Spock, something's fishy here. Because one of the things that surprised me is when Kirk can't reach them, they can't reach the red shirts, and Spock is talking to Kirk, and Lurch is making Kirk's voice, and he's going, everything's okay, and Spock's going, something's fishy here, but he doesn't check in with the red shirts. I mean, I definitely would kind of say, I would call a red shirt and say, is everything okay down there? I mean, even if they're in the same proximity, they would say, oh yeah, everything's good here. But as soon as Spock tried to reach the red shirts, he wouldn't have been able to do it.
They should have been checking in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Like I thought Spock was very good or clever or smart about when he said and called security, and he says, get a security team into the transporter room after the captain beams down. Right? Not
right.
Already didn't trust or something was off.
Yeah.
That was a smart move. And so if he's smart about that, why didn't he maybe do...
Yeah, just kind of follow up and say, yeah, something's not right.
Shouldn't they be in on a regular schedule?
I would say it would be the logical thing to do.
What's the word I'm thinking of? From...
Exactly. No, I don't know.
Okay, is that me? Exactly. Rob Bloch from Parks and Recreation. What's he say?
Oh,
he has a word. He has a word that he always says to them. Can't think of it. Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah. So, so Brown's character was an interesting guy. I mean, I don't know why the transfer didn't take on his brain too, because he didn't recognize Christina at first. It took him a while to get those brain synapses moving to where he could recognize who she was. And remember, because she was going, something is fishy here, because he didn't recognize Christina.
But you said, 5 years maybe. You say, why didn't that work? Because Corby didn't transfer him completely. He's kind of a clone. He has all the memories of Brown, who used to be, by the way, called Smith in the first draft. Also, kind of a boring name.
Right, that's my point. Like, Kirby has all the memories.
They went all the way. He explained that, hey, I could go further with Kirk, and it would be like your soul, if you wish, would be transferred. Yeah, he got memories on Kirk.
So he just kind of made them and said, we're good here.
Yeah, and maybe was a first test or beyond. No. Corby was. Both of them were ill, right? Probably in the cold, frozen. Maybe Brown wasn't and he was unconscious or didn't get repaired first, and Rock did first transference of Corby, and then he goes, wow, I'm in a nice new clean body. This is awesome. Let's go fix up Brown, but he only went halfway with him.
Yeah. Or Brown was kind of out of it. Wasn't really thinking right.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
I thought it was a very odd scene though when she says, what's wrong? Don't you recognize me? And he does the pause, and then he says, Christine. And then he immediately talks to Kirk.
Yeah.
I think the pause was so short, maybe intentional, but I thought it wasn't long enough to acknowledge or fake that he knows her. It just was, Christine, I recognize you. Hi, Kirk. I mean, that's how I felt a little bit short every time I watch it.
And then we got hot. What is it? Andrea, right?
Yes.
Just knockout hot.
Playboy bunny.
A little bit of a gown there, a little slinky dress.
Yes, and she says that she didn't think anything of it. She had several costume meetings. She said that she was Andrea Jackson.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andrea Jackson. Sherry Jackson said that she felt that Gene Roddenberry was very started with a P, very particular, very
meticulous, maybe.
Meticulous about getting things just right, and the costume, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, I think so. I mean, I would see that I would be like Gene Roddenberry, make sure it's.
Well, we kind of know he was the flirtatious type, or I mean, that's what the.
Now she was an interesting character. She grew up on TV. I mean, she started her career in a lot of things. I mean,
like 5 years old. She was already in all of these shows and played these kids. Yeah. And Joe D'Agosta, I think he's the casting guy, if I'm not mistaken. And he said he had a crush on her, and she said, "I never knew that. She never picked up on that."
Oh, really?
And he hired her for The Lieutenant, I think, which was another Gene Roddenberry show, or a show that Gene Roddenberry wrote for. I don't know if he created The Lieutenant. I can't quite remember. And I think he hired her for that, and he hired her again. Obviously, he really liked her. Well,
right.
Wonderful.
Well, she was very cute, very very pretty woman, very pretty woman.
Yeah.
So then we have Christine and Corby, just macking on each other right in the middle of everything. I mean, I'm like, okay, get a room already.
Oh, excuse me, Kurt. Oh no, it's all right. Well, come on, they haven't seen each other for 5 years, but they must have. I don't know why they're so happy to see each other. They must have left on bad terms. I want to go to do planet hopping, and she wants to say, "Why don't you stay here while I'm in bio?" What's the word? Got to look it up.
Right.
And so they split. They had different opinions on what they wanted to do. It never happened. It's not like he disappeared. Or wait a minute. Or is it supposed to be that he says, "Okay, we're engaged, but I got to go to this planet here and do a little research. I'm going to be there for 6 months or whatever," and then he gets lost or no one hears from him. And it was only a temporary. It wasn't a separation. It wasn't a parting of two ways. It was, "Oh, I got to go do this job."
Yeah, that's the way it is. I'm just going to chalk this up to a relationship thing. Whether or not they were disagreeing or she got mad at him, the feelings were still there. There's a disagreement. He wants to go off and do whatever. Maybe they were getting close to getting married, and he's saying, "Look, I'm just going to be gone, like you said, for 6 months. I'll be back. It's not a big deal." And she's pissed off. She goes, "Well, you're ruining my wedding, right? We're supposed to get married in 5 minutes." You go, "Well, this is one of those things that doesn't come up too often." You know, I could see this kind of little.
I guess, and that would be a reason why they are so lovey-dovey when they meet. They really didn't split up. They were separated by him finding his stuff, really, and hiding out in the caves. That's the deal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And so maybe she thought she would see him.
Is it really him? Huh.
Oh, so then we got Ruck, right? Who's this big strapping guy that can talk in many voices and do many things, right? I love that he's also a ballet dancer. When Kurt jumps up, you can see there's one part, and I'd love to put it into our thing, where Kurt kind of does a ballet jump into his arms and he's picking him up over his head.
Yeah.
I thought, what a nice little ballet jump that he had. I mean, you could put that in a ballet, actually, even on ice. That would have been a nice,
That was a coordinated jump there, the assistants, and then get him up. But
yeah. It was nice though, right? I mean, it was a good. And then let's see. Oh, so my final comment, because I'm going to let you take over the rest of this, is I love when they put Kirk into the spinning duplicator.
The turntable. Yeah, exactly. This is how you make an Android.
This is how you do it, right? But what I would have really loved to see, it turned out nice, right? Kirk, she can't tell the difference. But it could have went the other way too, which I thought would have been brilliant.
What do you mean?
Instead of like the clay or whatever it is, this mold, this gelatinous, this material, turning into Kirk, I would have really loved to see Kirk turn into this material. And then you just have two like Gumby kind of guys, right? Christine still could, because they're doing a test on her, right, to see if she knows who's what. She still would not have been able to tell them apart. She would not know who was the captain. It would have been perfect. I think it would have been a nice little twist.
Yeah, right. You're so funny.
I hope the people that are watching this have watched the episode and know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, this is not going to make a whole lot of sense.
No one's watching this. I looked up the line. It says, I understand you gave up a career in bioresearch to sign aboard a starship. Yeah, she lost the guy. She wanted to forget. She says, I'm going on an expedition. Oh, maybe she thought she could use this to her advantage and get exactly in the position she is now. Hey, let's go check out and see if he's still alive.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even know what was the reason that they went to that planet in the first place.
Well, they're on a 5-year mission, and this thing was on its schedule. They visited a Mantrap guy, Crater. Right. They have to inspect these guys every 6 months and do a physical and give them some salt, right? Because salt apparently is not available on planets. And so, but 2 expeditions have already failed. Yeah. And they're going to spend all this time. Well, they might have been going in that direction, right? Let's see. What was it? Expedition? Did they say that? And this is and since then, 2 expeditions have failed to find him, says Kirk. Yeah. So they're actually trying to find him now that they're kind of headed out in that vicinity. Probably. I mean, they're exploration ship, but they also take care of other things like the crater physical thing. Yeah. And they're around there and they go, let's go by. But let's only send a signal down there and see if someone answers. When they're going to go, oh, God, bother getting cold or something.
Yeah. So then there was a little bit of confusion between, I think they purposely made it a little confusing or nebulous in this next segment, right? So would we call this Act 3 or something? After Corby makes a clone of Kirk.
Yeah.
We don't know who's human, who's an android, right?
Not yet.
It kind of gets nebulous in there because even as I recall, Lurch was having a problem with being bossed around by Corby and imperfect humans.
And Kirk is fueling that animosity, that making sure that Rock gets a little madder and remembers.
Exactly.
Yes, that was the equation.
Exactly. So then we have a few things happen, right? Between Corby, Rook, Kirk. Christine was kind of not in it, right? Yes. Uh-huh.
Tone down that. You can't show that on prime time very clearly that they're about to choke the guy to death. You gotta make it tasteful.
Yeah. So then why don't you take it for a while here? So then we've got, let's see, I like the little interaction between who's Kirk and who's not Kirk. Christine doesn't even know, right? She's like,
why don't you eat some food? Oh, and right then when she says that, why don't you have lunch or whatever, that was one of the many lines that was looped, but probably the most obvious one that was added later while you can't see from the back. She's filmed from the back and she adds why don't you, I'm not hungry, or have some food. And then he says, androids don't eat.
Right.
But electric sheep, they sleep or something, right?
But what?
Blade Runner.
Oh, right. But the thing is, they still had food on the planet. I mean, there was food, right?
Yes, what are you saying?
I don't want to jump too far to the end, so I want you to kind of carry the ball for a little while. Right, as we go into Kirk, he's made into an android. She's trying to figure it out. This is part where I'm sketchy on because this is where I had to kind of stop to get back in.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha. Let me whip over to some notes here. Dun dun dun. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about some cool shots and some. We talked about that turntable. Got to mention some stuff there. Classic lines, of course. All right, so she does the food scene, and
well, let's get to the table. What do you want to talk about the table? The cloning.
So the turntable. There's a memorable blooper from that where Majel Barrett or Nichelle Nichols they're dancing on top of the table, on the turntable while it's going around. And I've even seen a picture of Kirk
blooper, like they were just playing. Yeah, they were playing around.
Exactly. And I've seen a picture of Kirk and Sherry Jackson on there, standing on top of it, kind of dancing.
Fun for everyone.
Yes. Some other items that I wanted to mention. These lines that I always like to repeat: to love you, to kiss you. It is illogical. Love that. I always have fun with that. And I just learned that at the end of the episode where the two Corby and Andrea embrace, and the trigger is pulled on the phaser, which kills them both. That I think was written as accidental, but they opted for a pickup shot that they had to film later when the actors were gone, so that you could see that he was pulling the trigger.
Really?
And the two people were normal extras in Trek that had acted in other parts in Star Trek, and they filled those costumes so they could do the close-up of the trigger phaser being pulled.
So why was Corby acting human and telling Andrea that she can't feel, she can't do this, she can't do that because she's not human?
Well, he had 100% transfer, right?
That's why.
He was transferred probably by Rock when he was all frozen, and he just did the full meal deal, and now his essence is in this spot.
I understand. Oh, gotcha. That's why he's feeling. That's why he does the whole thing on the end, like it's me, Christine, right? Even though his hand is coming off after getting caught in the door, and she's looking at him horrified.
And I think he really thinks he's me, legitimately, and he says, "I'm just better." When you get into a perfect body and then think all these different things that you could do to fix people, you might get a little power trip, but it's essentially him. And it's interesting when we know that we kind of suspect, don't we, that it's not him, and he's saying, go ahead and kiss him, go ahead and slap him, see, there's nothing. And it's kind of odd because she's the android and he is kind of an android, but yet it's him, and he feels like he is still him. Very, very odd, very interesting. I like that story.
That's cool. That's cool the way you see. That's why I ask you these questions, because on that one I was a little bit confused. And if they pushed them to the end, which you said they did, and I believe it now because that was the whole essence of it.
So another couple of things, these Star Trek episodes, they got 30% share, unheard of stuff. I think those are really high numbers, and we were told by the second season that by the end of the first season that they didn't get a good share, and that's why they were about to cancel, and that was why there was a drive to resurrect the show for the second season. But the book I'm reading with the percentage share says no, that it was high. Here are the numbers: 30%. First, they measure it by first half hour and second half hour because they're competing, of course, with other shows. 30%, awesome. I told you about the pickup shots. I wanted to mention the how about at the cliff? How about the cliff? They had a cliffhanger at a cliffhanger. So at the end of the act, he's hanging from the cliff, but when we come back, Rock picks him up, and I never really put together the Nurse Chapel part of it until now, because I was reading about it. I always said to myself, Rock is not that evil. And he pulled him up and said, okay, but really, isn't it that Christine Chapel yelled at him and says, don't injure him? And that was programming that Rock had to listen to, because Corby told him, you'll obey her orders.
Yeah. Which Kirk had told him, insisted.
Yes, insisted. And so I never put that together until this time around, going, wait a minute, he's pulling Kirk up out of there, not out of the goodness of his heart, but he had to pause and then go, okay, I got this programming. I've got to not let him be injured, so I got to pull him up. So I've been maybe watching this a little bit wrong there on that scene. I thought that was great.
Isn't this great? It gives you a chance to reevaluate these episodes.
Yes, I think thinking out loud to you, and you raising some alternate viewpoints. I'm going, maybe I'm missing. I've missed stuff. I'm not that quick. Maybe that I find that I don't pick up a lot on these subtle details, and that's maybe why I enjoy the shows a lot. I don't see the faults that they have.
I think that's great, though. It's great that I think you might see the faults. You just have your explanations for them. So you kind of do see them. You're just like, I think a lot of things for you is not a big deal, right? Where I make a big deal out of it. Like, why go down in the cave when things ain't right here? Let's get the hell out of here, right?
And waited for him to show up, and when he's there, then go beam down again.
Yeah, exactly. Or wait for him. Or like Corby said, well, if I was there, maybe you wouldn't have fell off the cliff. Well, probably. So we'll just we'll be out. We'll see you next time we're passing through this area.
I think I like figuring out a way to explain away and make the story keep on being believable. And I don't mind stopping. If I'm watching with someone, I don't mind stopping and asking real quick and go, how'd that happen? Oh yeah, okay, that's why. Okay. Make a believable thing real quick so that you can move on with the story.
Well, I like the way Corby did it, because you obviously get that Corby could obviously be there. He knows the cave. He knows how long it's going to take him to get there. He's lived there for a long time. If he's been there for 5 years, he knows everything about it. He knows it like the back of his hand, and he doesn't show up.
No, he doesn't know the back of his hand, because apparently
that's true. That's true. Okay, since he lost the back of his hand, but he had it planned out. He's just like he had the plan already before they hit the surface of the planet.
What do you think? Oh, he expected only 2 people.
Well, he insisted on it. Remember?
Insist on 2 people. I think that plan about killing the guys, that was on the fly. Going, oh crap! Now he's beamed down 2 more guys. Rock, get out there and go take care of these. Yeah, take care of those guys. But but then why do you think he waited? I think he might have waited to see if they brought down more people. Why do you think he left them sitting at the front of the cave? To see if they would bring more people?
I think he was checking out. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just be there and meet them? Like in another episode where they beam down to the planet and that person's there and meets them and says, thanks for coming here. Like just presenting himself right away, right? He didn't do that. And he had every opportunity, even to send Brown on time. Brown could just be there. Oh, I'm Brown. I'm meeting you here.
I was thinking he was more scatterbrained than that, but maybe you're right. He's more devious, and he's checking them out with cameras.
Oh, I think he's more devious. There's no way in hell. Why would you let someone wait? I mean, it doesn't make any sense unless you have a plan, because he's been there for 5 years. He knows what everything is. There's no point in letting someone wait, other than just saying, let's figure this out. Let's see what's going to happen, and we'll take it as it comes.
I had always bought it as, he's just Professor Crater off in the digging somewhere.
No.
Yeah, okay.
No.
He's
had 5 years to dig, man. If you can't find it, what's another 20 minutes in 5 years? You know what I'm saying?
Right, unless you're hiding something. And Crater was the same way. He was saying, God, you're interrupting my work, but really he was hiding stuff. So this guy was hiding something.
I think he was planning on what he was going to do. And if Kirk and Christine came down and they're by themselves, it gives them a chance to kind of check it out. let's see, and send, I keep calling them alerts. It's not alerts, but sending alerts up to take a peek and say, hey, what's going on up there? Because they obviously didn't have the camera system or anything that's going to tell them who's there, right? So I think it was a way to get the surveillance that he needed to figure out what they're going to do. Because remember, his whole thing is, why are you doing this? When Kurt's going, why are you doing this? He goes, well, we don't want more people. You know, you find something happens. There's all these people that are like going to give you problems. We don't want that, right?
Yeah.
That's my feeling. Just my thought.
Good. Okay. More stuff, right?
Yeah.
How about when they go on the ship? It was so short. They go on the ship and they're not there long enough. Oh, but as a kid, I really got a kick out of the cavern, the walk that they did down. I thought that was, and I think for that time, that kind of set was major, because I watched was a major set.
Oh,
because I think when I watched some interview shows in the 70s, they're so cheap, and there's a couple of chairs and there they are talking, and it doesn't look like anything. And then in the 60s, they do this whole set. I thought it was pretty good, at least when I was 13.
I wonder how big the set was for this thing, because it did look like it was pretty. I mean, I get that it would probably. You know, I saw a movie, Willow. Did you see Willow? It was a Ron Howard film, and with Val Kilmer and stuff. Did you see that?
Yeah.
You saw where they're doing the sledding down the hill?
Yeah, forced perspective.
Well, it was just like a very short little thing, and it looked like it was forever, right?
Yeah.
So this cavern, I don't know how big it actually is, but it seemed like it was a pretty substantial set to me. Well, I understand forced perspective, but it seemed kind of substantial.
Yeah, but one of the scenes, remember when all three of them, Brown is leading, Kirk and Nurse Chapel are following, and they're talking about the evolved into a mechanized culture. Watch their feet, how they're walking. They have to walk slow because that camera dollying along, right, tracking with them.
Yeah.
Before they go cut it, they're gonna run out of. Watch Kirk's feet, how they're taking very small steps. In fact, he's walking so slow that he's alternating his feet like the wrong way because he has to balance, because he can't walk normal.
Right.
It's not really that long. And then they cut, and then they do a little bit more, and I think they go back to a section to make that section look longer.
Right. Make it look longer. Yeah.
They're really walking slower than you would when you're just walking along and talking.
Well, you can't attribute that to like, I don't want to fall off the edge of this thing.
And watch their feet. They're barely balancing. This is really slow. They go onto the ship, and Captain Kirk opens up his safe. He's done it several times. His codes are different, and I think this one is 554334. 54334, and he closes the door with a 3.
Oh.
Combination. So everybody put that on your luggage, right? Hey, that's my luggage. That's. I told you about the kids and the can. Oh, looped line. I told you about the go ahead and eat. That was an obvious loop line. It didn't match right when she was talking, and then that loop, and then take a look at my. I'd like to read you something that Shatner and Sherry Jackson said on the DVD. If you have the DVD, they had 2004 version, I think. They had some comments, some interjected material. Shatner introduced the show with this. If you've ever cursed at a computer, and I, for one, can't even find the power button, you're going to like this Star Trek episode. Like others that would follow it, What Are Little Girls Made Of deals with the theme of man versus machine and the dangers of being too independent on technology. Ironically, for a show that has been dependent on technology for its basic premise, Star Trek often went out of its way to poke holes in the mindless way we accept it. And he refers later, a few lines on, to from Fritz Lang's classic Metropolis to the $6 Million Man to RoboCop, it's the same struggle. How far do we allow the benefits of technology to take us without jeopardizing our humanity? So that was one of Shatner's little bit. And then here's a tidbit on the costumes. Okay, We're deciding the outfit. And Bill Tice was a fantastic costumer. So he came up with this concept of doing the crisscross deal, which meant that I could not wear a bra because it would show on the back. The other thing too, at the time, you were allowed to have cleavage in the front, but no cleavage on the side. They had a censorship person on the set every day to make sure there was no side cleavage. And they put a toupee tape on the side of the costume so nothing showed on the side. I knew it was going to be a very sexy outfit. Me trying to make the transition from child to adult woman, I didn't mind the fact that they were showing me as a sexual, sensual woman. That I felt was good for my career. As I said, though, the acting was the real issue. To overcome my costume was my challenge. And then here's the kiss. Sherry Jackson says, but Shatner was his sexy, charming self, you know. And I must say, when he kissed me on screen, he really kissed me. If you'll notice when you're watching, he kissed me, and when we pull apart, not only is my lipstick on, but my lips are like swollen a little. She laughs. He really kissed me. Oh, and then another little tidbit, they had to shave his chest for that. Did you know that? Because he had to be cloned and be shown naked. Mr. Roddenberry felt that Captain Kirk would be hairy, so they shaved his whole chest, and he kept complaining, you know, I'm itching.
So yeah, Sherry Jackson, yeah.
Yes. I saw a neat shot at the beginning. What really caught me when I was watching this time, they had a great tracking shot. It's about 5 minutes and 28 seconds into the episode Laserdisc time. And the camera is real low on the console level from the navigator. And it's looking across the bridge to the other side that we don't normally see. And it pulls back. And the camera is quite low, and it was a great little shot. I put a little screenshot in the beginning of it.
That's on the beginning, or where in the show are you talking about?
5 minutes into the show, 5 minutes and 28.
5 minutes. Okay.
Time. They just are on the bridge. After the teaser, after the credits, after they. Please call me a liar.
So I have a question here.
Sorry. 59 seconds. So 1 minute into the episode.
Okay. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
They have food, right? And no one on the planet needs food, and it doesn't look like on that planet is very susceptible to growing food.
Stop. Coming up with this stuff. Let's see. Very good point. Let's see. Does nobody need food? If they're all androids, are they all androids? Yes.
Yes.
None of them need food. Jeez.
Right.
Holy. Well, you know, I kind of find it funny that they say androids, but they're made out of this silly putty. That's not some sort of biomass that needs to have some sort of food inside.
Yes, but if you look at the first thing where the guy's blown open, it looks like he's got firecrackers in him. When Brown is blown open by Kirk,
those are electrolytic capacitors. They're cardboard tubes with the foil on the outside and the 2 rows of foil and the electrolyte in there. Come on, this is total 60s electro.
To me, they look like just capacitors. I mean, not capacitors. They look like firecrackers to me, like those little popping crackers.
Where was that? He gets shot. Oh yeah, he gets shot
by Shatner. He's the first one that gets killed by Shatner.
In the room when he tries to get away. Yes, that's at 15 minutes, 56 seconds later this time. And he's got a big gaping hole. And then they have a close-up and, oh my God, yeah, a bunch of caps. Sure. You betcha.
So those are all capacitors.
So, okay. So that wiggly, what did you call, what was the Gumby character? The Gumby thing is already pre-filled with electronics. But come on, how do they make the feet continue to work? That he was now superior, so then he thought he was superior. I mean, his body was physically better, so then he goes, wow.
Yeah. And he could have done it to Christine. She could have been married. They could have had a nice, and Lurch could have been taking care of him if Kirk wouldn't have kind of thrown the wrench in the works on that.
Yeah, I think you're mad, or what does he say? But not the way you think.
Yeah.
Stand back, Rock. I'll kill him. Stay back. Protect.
So what do you think? What do you think of the episode? What's your overall assessment?
I think it's awesome. I love it. I think it was real fun to watch again. And of course, it's very, some actors are very easy on the eyes. So I really like
good eye candy in this one for sure. Great eye candy.
Oh yeah, we covered that. In this episode, man and machine become integrated. Okay. I'm giving this a high score, of course. You're gonna hate me. You know, it's like I'm listening to, they're all hovering around 80, right? So let's go back to our list here. I think you're on this one where we put our numbers. And of course, this guy gets a solid 80. Enemy Within. Oh my gosh, do I like it better than the Enemy Within? Oh yeah, sure. Is this like Mud's Women? Oh yeah, on par with that. I'm gonna give it an 83 out of 100.
An 83 out of 100.
Okay. We like two digits. 83 out of 99. 0 being.
Did we not rate Mud's Women?
We did. 82 and 65. You and me.
Oh, they're not on here.
Yes, it is. Up at the top.
Oh, it is. Thank you. Okay, 82 and 65.
So I'm going to go 83, and I'm going to get from you. I didn't get a lot of complaints story-wise out of you, so you're going to say it was okay.
It was okay. It was okay. It was okay. And I would like to find out, if they introduced Christine's character in this one or not. I know aside from the pilot, if they introduced her.
Oh, the Nurse Chapel character. Yeah, what was the first episode? We got to find that out.
Was she a nurse in this one though? I don't know that she was a nurse in this one. Did they say she was a nurse in this one?
Let's look and see if there's actually a line.
I don't know if they gave her the title Nurse Chapel.
Let's go look real quick, just because there might be we're entering standard orbit, nurse.
Oh, they do. So they do call her a nurse.
The android says nurse. Spock says nurse.
Okay.
They do say we're entering standard orbit, nurse.
Okay, so they did put her as a nurse. Okay, cool.
Forward phaser, welcome fly. We're entering standard orbit. It won't be much longer. Forward scanner to bridge. Data green. I understand you gave up a career in bioresearch to sign aboard a starship. I know he's alive down there, Captain. Aft scanner to bridge. Status report green. Engineering controls negative. It's been 5 years since his last message, says Kirk. Roger's a very determined man. He'd find a way to live. Beginning signals.
Which he did. He actually did.
He did. Wait, wrong.
So I'm going to give this one a good one. I think you're going to be, where are you going to be on this one?
83, buddy.
83.
Why does this keep scrolling to the top? Evernote keeps scrolling all the way to the top when I leave the page. Okay. Yeah, what do you got for me?
I'm trying to decide. I think it's going to be a good 75, probably. 75.
Oh my gosh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I was going to say 70, and I thought for you, and I thought, will he get that high? Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. You have fun watching it again?
I did have fun watching it. And of course, she's very nice to look at. And yeah, I did. I thought it was, I kind of liked, I did like it. And I liked better after we're talking about it, the way that you put things in perspective for me, because I couldn't understand some of the stuff. I just couldn't understand how Kirk was pitting Ruck against, the doctor, and I quite did, and then he turns out to be an android, and I'm like, well, if he's an android and Ruck knows he's an android, then how can Kirk pit them against each other? And then, but you're saying, yeah, but he thought he was, right? He was more of a.
He's the 100% version.
Yeah. So I like that. So it makes it more. So this discussion really helped me as far as rating it higher, because it makes more sense to me.
Okay, good deal. I'm glad I could help you.
Thank you. So next time.
Tell me next time, could it be Michael J. Pollard and who plays Mary? What's her name? Mary? I think so.
It is Mary. Yes, but who is the actress? I'd have to look and see who she is.
Kim Darby. Is that
Kim Darby? Is that her? Yeah.
Right.
I like what it's kind of looking at as far as trying to what I believe it's trying to say or is saying. I kind of like some of it. Yeah. And unfortunately, I'm a little tainted because I did watch other people's comments on Mary. They didn't like it all that much, a couple of them. Mm-hmm. But I think I like it more than they did because I don't think I'm so tied up in the Mary, the boy in Mary, the adolescent boy.
John, who leads the two little boys along to steal the communicators, that guy?
Yeah. And he's a lot older as an actor at that point, and people are pointing that out. To me, it didn't bother me as much.
Oh yeah,
at all. It just didn't bother me as much. So I liked it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode. What I've seen some other people said about it, but honestly, I'm not as disturbed as some people seem about the episode. I don't know why, but that's where I come off on you, coming off on me, right? Because I look at it, I try to say, well, Bruce you have a whole different perspective on these episodes than I do, and as we've discussed many times. And I'm like, some I feel like I'm a little more critical than I should be or would be, and I really like listening to, like, your fascination with the cave as a kid, right? Because that's really kind of like where you would go with this, right? These episodes, right? Not a grown man who's like, well. Yeah. So that's kind of what I like about it. Although I do like Black comedians and how they all are saying, why do white people go into places that they shouldn't? Let's get the hell out of here. That's I would say, Christine, you might want to see this guy, but it's not a good idea.
Why is it that they never read the script? They can see what's going to happen. They should get out of there. Are these guys not doing their job?
Here's one thing I gotta say that I love in every episode that we've looked at. Every episode, without exception, I think that William Shatner is a phenomenal actor. And I told you about doing improv, right? The commitment. Yeah. I love his commitment to the character. He absolutely, it doesn't matter what script he's reading, where he's going, he commits to the character. And I think that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, he gets such a bad rap. They all think, oh, Kirk's overacting. No, he comes from the stage and his commitment. I don't know. I view it differently. I think he does a great job.
I think he does a great job. He's right in there when he's sensing the danger in the cave. I know I'm going back a little bit.
Yeah.
But when he gets down, you can actually see that he's thinking something's dangerous here. This is not right. It doesn't feel right. Christine, she's okay with that because she kind of tries to emote the same feelings as she goes, Kirk gets there. I mean, I see it, at least when he's kind of hunkering down, he's saying, I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I like his acting. I love his acting.
Yeah. Well, Mutual Admiration Society, I like your comments. I like your comments. Your questions, your queries, that's good stuff.
Thanks.
Thought-provoking for me.
What's that?
It's thought-provoking for me. Good, right. Good. It makes me pause, and I'm okay with going, okay, maybe I was wrong about that. And
I think one thing we should do, like, let's get through. So Mary's already number 8. Wow, we're already doing 8.
Yeah, cruising.
After the Corbinite maneuver, what I might like to do on our next episode is do a recap on the 10 episodes that we saw. Mm-hmm. Didn't she live a pretty long life? She lived to be pretty long, right?
Yeah, she covered a lot of series, Star Trek series.
Yeah, her first episode, her first appearance was in The Naked Time.
Okay.
The last appearance was in The Voyage Home. But she was Nurse Chapel, and that was 1986. That was a different
different character, different Star Trek series.
Yeah.
Wasn't she Loxana Troy, the mother of?
Yeah, she was Loxana Troy. Yeah, no. So she wasn't Nurse Chapel, right? In there.
But she was the computer voice for all of those decades.
Yeah, she definitely did that. I was reading a thing or heard something where she worked really hard to get the computer voice down. She worked very hard to perfect that. So yeah, so it wasn't her first rodeo on this one. All right, wonderful. I think this was good. Is there anything else you want to add about this episode or say about it before we?
Gossip on the ship. Remember when she hears the Corby's voice, she's all excited and giddy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And in the background, by the turbo lift doors, is our two technicians.
Yes.
One in command, gold-colored dress, and the other one in a mechanic's jumpsuit or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're standing real close together, and they're like practically exaggerating, giggling at the hey, she's meeting her fiancé again.
Oh yeah.
So I figured they're standing there. You know what's going to happen? It's going to go around the ship like wildfire. And then and then I have another screenshot I made of.
Now, when I was in the Navy, I have to tell you, we did a lot of betting on just anything that came along, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they were laying bets on whether or not she would come back? I bet they
or stay on the ship or whatever.
Or stay on the ship or stay down on the planet, and kind of. Kirk would come up, one to beam up.
Do they do? That's common for you to bet on anything. Yeah, you're probably bored.
In the Navy? Oh yeah, man, we bet on everything. When I was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, me and a guy we'd lay 5 or 6 bets every morning.
Whether you make it or not.
We would bet like $2 Kenyan money, so it was maybe a quarter, maybe even less than that. Yeah, for every bet. But yeah, we laid off a lot of bets in the Navy.
Oh my God.
So I'm pretty sure they laid some bets on whether or not she was coming back.
Sure. Here's another episode with 2 Kirks. So they had to lock the camera down. They had to film him on one side. Then they had to reshoot the scene with him on the other side, right?
Yeah.
And optically in the duplicator, not in the camp. Well, yeah, maybe no, I don't know. They wouldn't have done that in the camera. They would have shot the thing again, and then they would have had to put the two, merge the two with their optical printer.
He did look different. Somehow they made him look different to me at first as the other Kirk. Which I thought
they have his hair combed.
Yes. Yeah. They did. They did something, didn't he? Let me get to that spot because to me, there he is. Yeah.
One's wearing
maybe it's the makeup
jumpsuit.
they used. What's that?
One of them, the real Kirk, is wearing the jumpsuit of the local indigenous android population.
Yeah, but I'm talking about when he's in that machine. When he's in the turntable. I think it's his makeup. Look at his makeup on the. I think different Kirks have different makeup on. Yeah, see, he's like got this little kind of smirky on his face, but he's well, I don't know. To me, he just looked different, but I think it's the way they did his makeup. If you look at what am I looking at right here? 2740.
Yep. Okay, I see him coming around on the table, and he looks over.
Yeah, he kind of gives that smile.
We have a commercial.
Yeah.
And then, here they come back. This is how you make an android. I can't.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Static organs are in place. Synchronizing with Earth's autonomic nerve.
That's what he's talking to her at the dinner table, right?
Right. Oh! Remember the dials and controls? Oh, you know this. You were with us at Technicians, right?
Yeah.
You saw those little black plugs, which were the standard banana plug ends that you had test leads in, right? And the little set screws. They were just using those test lead plugs as jumpers. Each one of them had like a copper wire between one pin and the other. That is hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. The little baristers there. Interesting. Ah, cool. It's good. It's good.
All right, stick of work in it.
All right. I think we're good. So next time, Miri.
Yes.
Next week, the continuation. All right.
And then they cut, and then they do a little bit more, and I think they go back to a section to make that section look longer.
Right. Make it look longer. Yeah.
They're really walking slower than you would when you're just walking along and hot.
Well, you can't attribute that to like, I don't want to fall off the edge of this thing.
And watch their feet. They're barely balancing. This is really slow. It's your standard square colored watermelon science fiction food that can be. This is total 60s electric. Oh my God. Yeah, a bunch of caps. Sure.
Yeah.
Took the lightsaber, melted his feet from the cavern ceiling.
Yeah.